God, this sucks. Oh my God. Hey guys, it's Michaela back again with another video. And I'm very tired. I'm not only tired because it's early in the morning and I basically just woke up, but also because, I'm doing a read with me on the third book in the Raven cycle, which is Blue Lily, Lily Blue. The day I am recording this is the same day that my read with me for the Dream Thieves is going up. And as I was editing that video yesterday, I realized that there were things that I wanted to say that I just didn't think about. And at this point, I don't even know if I'm gonna say them. I guess the biggest thing that I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention in my video about the Dream Thieves is that the dialogue in this series isn't great. And I don't mean that the writing is bad. I mean that it is extremely utilitarian. To me, it feels like the dialogue in these books is only there to serve one purpose, and that is to get across information that the reader needs to know. I am a huge fan of dialogue. Dialogue is my favorite thing. The West Wing is one of my favorite shows. I love rich, full, living musical dialogue. And the dialogue in this series is not that, because even when the writing of the dialogue is good, it doesn't serve the characters as much as it serves the plot. And I think that the narration, right, the stuff that we read outside of the quotation marks, should serve the plot first and characters second, and then everything inside the quotation marks, the dialogue, should serve the characters first and the plot second. Dialogue is choices. These characters are choosing to use these words in this order, in this way, and those choices should tell us something about the characters. And I don't feel, with the exception of Gansey, I feel like his dialogue is very specific to him and can clue us into a lot of how he thinks about the world, particularly how he thinks about money. But for the rest of the characters, I don't feel like after they've spoken, I learn anything new about them. I don't feel like I'm closer to them or that I know more about how they work, how they think. And so the dialogue is just disappointing. To me, it feels like it's here, like character A knows something that character B needs or wants to know, and so A tells B, and that's the end of the interaction. And that is, I don't feel, why is that dialogue necessary, right? I mean, it feels like dialogue should not feel like it could have been scrawled on a note and it had the same effect. And that's how I feel like the dialogue in the series is. And I think that's a big part of why I don't feel particularly attached to any of these characters, other than Noah, my sweet, sweet prince. And it's just because their dialogue, it doesn't serve them. Their dialogue doesn't serve anything but the plot. And the plot, as I stated, is confusing and I can't follow it and I don't care about it. It's so funny, I just flipped this book over and one of the reviews on the back says the dialogue positively crackles. So I guess I'm alone. I guess this is just me. So I'm gonna start this right now. I'm hoping to finish this today, mostly just because I want to finish reading these books. I want to read other things. This is taking longer than I expected. So I'm gonna get started and I will check back in when I have some thoughts. I am about 50 pages in and I can definitely already say that the dialogue is markedly better in this book than it was in the previous two. Like, I think that actually these characters have, in just 50 pages, said more words out loud to each other than they did in the first two books combined. This dialogue has a personality and a liveliness to it that it just didn't in the first two. I do feel like I am learning things about these characters as they're talking for the first time. I will say though that there is still some missing rhythm or musicality to the dialogue. I can't really put my finger on it, but there is just some beat missing in like the conversations that they're having, that makes it sound not quite real, but more, I don't want to say idealized, but more like, here's what very clever teens would sound like. I have never been one to shy away from having teens in young adult content sound maybe smarter than they would, or cleverer than they would, or more polished than they would. That's not something that's ever bothered me, but it's bothering me in here, and I wish I could articulate why, other than the fact that, like I said, it's lacking a certain rhythm, especially when, we have been led to believe that these five people at this point know each other extremely well, particularly the boys, and there's a lack of familiarity sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes there's just this like, I don't necessarily believe they've been friends for as long as they have been. And sometimes I do. It's just, it's kind of inconsistent. But like I said, it is still definitely better, a much, much needed improvement over the dialogue in the first two books. And generally speaking, like I said, 50 pages in, I am not confused. I am really enjoying this. I know exactly what's happening. I feel very much on solid ground. And that's the first time I have felt like this, definitely since book one. I don't even know when in book one, but kind of early on. I am solidly following this plot so far. Again, only 50 pages, so there's time for me to lose the thread. But as of right now, I am enjoying this, so I'm very relieved. This book is doing a really good job of setting up tone. For the first time reading this series, I'm like properly afraid. I am terrified for Noah. I love him so much, and I don't know what's happening to him, and I am very scared about what's going on with him. And then this guy just walks into the psychic house for a reading, and he is like very clearly a threat. He is very clearly after something, and that is making me, that whole scene has really put me on edge. So yeah, for the first time I'm like reading this, and I'm like scared, and I really like it. I love Piper. I love Greenmantle. These are such fantastic characters. I don't know what it says about this book or me that I am enjoying the villains and sort of the unlikable characters a lot more than I am enjoying our heroes. But I love them. They're so funny. They're so particular and specific. Yeah, every scene, every time we cut away to Greenmantle and his wife, I'm just like, yes, give me the chaos. Give me that chaotic energy. I love them. I feel like we get told a lot things that perhaps we should be shown instead. I'm a little over 150 pages in, and I've been told several times, both from Gansey's point of view and Adam's, that the two of them are fighting. But I have seen no actual evidence to suggest that that's the case. Like, they're talking less, I guess. Again, this is something I've been told. But it's incredibly unclear, A, that they're fighting, B, how they're fighting, C, what they're fighting over, and D, what the ramifications of this fight are. We just, both of them keep thinking to themselves, oh, I hate that we're fighting. I don't want to fight with him. But like, why are you... Where's the fight? I wouldn't have guessed that they were fighting if they both just hadn't flat out told me that they were. I'm not feeling tension between them. Not really. I mean, a little bit, but like kind of no more than there has been between Adam and Ronan or between Blue and Ronan. We're just being told that they're fighting. And the same has been true really up until just shortly before where I am now about the romance between Blue and Gansey. We've been told sort of from the beginning that these two are going to end up in a romantic situation, and that's where we've been for 2 books and a little bit of this book, where we're just being told the two of them are starting something or have feelings for each other or are fighting feelings for each other. But it really isn't until, like, again, like I said, like just 1 chapter or 2 chapters before where I am now that I've finally like seen something resembling a romance blossoming between the two. And at this point I'm just like, I'm tired of being told how these people feel about each other and not seeing it. Like, I know how Ronan and Gansey feel about each other. Not because they've told me, but because I can see it in their actions. I can hear it in how they talk to each other, right? I know how Blue and Noah feel about each other. Not because they've told me, but because I can hear it. But there are relationships like Blue and Gansey and Adam, and even Adam and Blue to some extent, where I feel like I'm more just being told how they feel about each other. And it makes it very hard for me to A, believe it, and B, care about it. Oh my god. Ronan's brother isn't real. God, this sucks. Matthew being a dream creation thing is the best plot twist in this series since Noah being dead. Absolutely. Like, same energy. I love it, but so sad. Oh my god, can't be a sweet boy in this world, because it turns out you're not real. Did the Dream Thieves ever touch at all on the fact that Adam is now deaf in one ear? I don't think so, because a little over 200 pages in, and it's now been brought up twice, that Adam is deaf in one ear, and that the first time it was brought up in this book, it sort of startled me because I had completely forgotten. You know, I remember, obviously, that he was deafened in one ear at the end of The Raven Boys, but I don't think it was brought up literally once in The Dream Thieves, and I feel like that's maybe something to talk about. Like, Adam especially is the one of this main crew who is most in touch with sort of normal stuff. Like, more than any of the others, we hear about, you know, how he's dealing with school and work and thinking about college and money and just sort of the non-magical stuff, just like the living stuff. And I think that him learning to live with this new thing in his life, this new part of himself, would have been really great for his character, like a really interesting thing to explore. And I feel like it's now just being brought up again after months of not even acknowledging it. So that's weird. Okay, so I've talked before how a lot of times in these books, I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like pieces of conversation have been taken out, or like things are just happening without context. So these are the last three paragraphs. I mean, they're barely paragraphs, but of one chapter. And this is Ronan and Adam talking. And it starts, where I'm about to start reading, starts with absolutely no context. Ronan just says this thing out of the blue. "You should tell me what you found out about Green Mantle," Ronan said, "so that I can get started on my dreaming." Adam picked himself up before he got driven over. "When?" Ronan grinned. I have no idea what that exchange means. It was established before that Adam was doing research into Green Mantle. Fine, I'm on board with that. And then Ronan says, "so that I can get started on my dreaming." Dreaming what? What? And then Adam asks when. Of all of the questions to respond to Ronan's statement, when is not one that I understand. When what? When does he start dreaming? When will he do research on Green Mantle? When will he tell Ronan about the research on Green Mantle? And then Ronan just smiles. That's not an answer. This is what the dialogue in these books are like. Where it's just like sentences aren't connected and ideas aren't connected. So I'm like, what was the point of that exchange? I learned nothing from it. And I didn't learn anything about them from it. That shit annoys me. I don't want Persephone to be dead. I don't like this. Something this series does that bothers me is characters will sort of like make declarations or statements about the mystical elements of their world without sort of any explanation for why they think the thing that is true, or like how they came to have that information. So like I'm at this part, Ronan and Blue have just like found this lake that when they look into it they see their dead parents, and you know, so Ronan tells Blue that it's not real, and Blue asks, why would it show us that? If it wasn't real, why would Caves Water show us something so horrible? This isn't Caves Water anymore, Ronan replied. This is underneath. The lake belongs to something else. Like, how do you know that? How is he saying that with such certainty? Like, sometimes these characters just like know things and you don't know how. Like, sometimes, like, for example, Adam will say something and like it's something that he knows, and we know that Adam is like connected to Caves Water and connected to the ley line in a way that the others aren't. So like that makes sense. But like, how does Ronan know this? He doesn't really, unless he's dreaming, he doesn't. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, these characters just like make statements and they're like, this is the way the world works. I'm like, well, tell me how you know this. How are you just making these statements? I am done. And thank God, I really liked this book. This book is by far the best of the three that I have read. The dialogue was fantastic. The character work was fantastic. The plot felt concise and to the point. I didn't really feel like I was floating off in space. I realized actually about over 2/3 of the way through this book that has been my problem with this series. And it's that it doesn't feel grounded in reality, which kind of feels like a stupid thing to say about a book that literally deals with like alternate realities or whatever the fucking hell Cabeswater is. But the whole story feels like it's floating, like it's detached, like it's just unmoored from the world that it takes place in. Like every time Adam talks about college or Blue talks about school or, you know, Ronan thinks about cars, I, as the reader, am like, how can that be the thing that we're talking about right now? Like, the series prior to this book never really did much to make me believe that the real world in this book is real. I never really believed that like these people had lives prior to this plot or outside of this plot, because the plot was so convoluted and so fantastical and so all over the place that the reality that the magic should be extraordinary in doesn't feel real. I don't know if that made any sense at all. Basically what I'm trying to say is that this book made all of these characters' lives feel rich and real in a way that they didn't before. And I think that because it did that, the actual fantastical stuff, the actual magic, the actual alternate reality of it all also felt real to me for the first time. It felt believable and I cared about it for the first time. I absolutely adored all of the new characters introduced in this book. Piper and Greenmantle and Jessie Ditley, rest in peace, sweet king. Who else? I know there were others that I can't think of. Oh, friggin' Gwen. An angel, an absolute psychotic angel. She gave me like big Drusilla vibes from like Buffy, if you know what I'm talking about. Really fantastic new characters. The idea of Neve and Piper connecting up at the end, amazing. I'm just so glad I liked this. I'm just so glad that I had fun with this one, because last one was not fun for me. If I'm being honest, as I was reading this, I felt like this one linked up so much better with the Raven Boys than the Dream Thieves did. Like, to me, other than the fact that we needed to know that Ronan can pull things out of his dreams for the plot, to me, there's like no real through line from Raven Boys to Dream Thieves to this. It seems like if they could have, this book could have been a little bit longer, like maybe an extra 100 pages to just work in the Ronan dream stuff, and then the Dream Thieves could have been cut out entirely. Like, I just don't think that book has been super relevant. There were so many things in this book that were direct callbacks to the first one, and I can't really think of any time while reading this where I found myself needing to think back to the Dream Thieves. The Dream Thieves felt completely irrelevant to this, whereas the first book, I could not have just picked this book up and understood it without having read the Raven Boys. But I feel like if I had read the Raven Boys and hadn't read the Dream Thieves, and I just picked this book up and you just explained to me who the Gray Man was and what Ronan can do in just like a quick little paragraph, I could have understood this book exactly the same. Like, the Dream Thieves didn't seem relevant at all. For the first time in this book, we're finally getting something of a romance between Blue and Gansey. I still don't care about it. I don't really care about Gansey as a character. I still find him annoying. Every time he calls her Jane, I want to light him on fire. It's the most annoying thing. I hate it. 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 Stop it, you dick. Oh my god. And the whole her kissing her true love thing, I'm like tired of that at this point. I just don't think it adds anything to the book. I mean, I'm guessing at this point it's got to be, so there's one book left, so I'm guessing they kiss? I don't fucking know. I don't care. I don't care about their relationship. I care about Blue. I feel like Blue's misogyny kind of ramped up a little bit in this one, though. Like, her not like other girls vibes got much stronger in this one, and it was already strong in the last one. I also feel like her little moments of feminism are very lip service feminism, which, I mean, this came out in 2014, so I guess that's of the time, but I feel like her little moments of feminism are really belied by the way that she talks and thinks about other women. So I don't buy it. Also, like, what happened with the trial of Adam's father? Like, it's this like big thing in Adam's life that just pops up out of nowhere. Just like halfway through the book, he's like, oh yeah, this trial's coming. And I'm like, oh, thanks for bringing up this plot point that happened 2 books ago. The whole trial thing, which, like I said, is the call, but none of this shit was mentioned in the second book. This is all fact from the first book. It's brought up 3 times basically in this book. The first is when we find out that the court date has been set. The second is when Adam's father comes to confront him, which is a hauntingly terrifying scene. Oh my god. Wow, that was really good. Really, really good. And then the trial itself, with like long gaps in between, and then no resolution. And like, answers, please? I didn't think I would have to ask for that. I get that, like, you want a book with threads, right? Like, you want a book with lots of threads, I guess. So little attention is being paid to the whole, like, Adam's past storyline. Like, it's not even the D plot, it's like the F plot. At this point, just wrap it the fuck up. Like, either make it relevant to the big plot or just be done with it. But, like, the way it's being dragged out and, like, so little attention is being paid to it, and, like, it feels like kind of like an insult. Oh yeah, like, if your dad beat the shit out of you, like, but you've got other stuff going on, don't worry about it. Like I said, the dialogue was better in this one, but it still had its moments where I'm like, I don't know what the guys are fucking talking about. Can you all just talk to each other like normal human beings? But I think that's beyond them. The talking Latin thing is fucking obnoxious. I'm so sorry. That's the most prep school, like, oh my god, I can't imagine someone speaking Latin to me out loud in real life. I would absolutely have to knee them in the nuts. That's the most annoying thing I've ever, I hate it. I hate that. That's so obnoxious and, like, unnecessary. Like, it's truly not necessary. I hate it. This book started strong with so much Noah. Like, Noah was, like, really, really in the first half of this book, and I was living, and then he just disappeared. And I get that he does that. He disappears. It's, like, his thing. But also, I missed him. I missed my boy. I think I have said all I have to say on this. I am giving this 4 stars. It's not like a 4, almost a 5. Like, it's a solid 4 to maybe a little bit closer to a 3. But I did enjoy this, and I can easily say that this is my favorite so far. And finishing this made me very excited for the next book. Like, when I finished Dream Thieves, I was not excited to start this because I just didn't enjoy Dream Thieves that much. I liked some of it, but I didn't enjoy it that much. This one, I was really on board for, like, basically the entire thing. I was really excited. I was in it. I was feeling it. I was seeing it. So that made me very excited. I think I understand at this point, like, a solid 75% of the plot, which I don't think is that bad. I think I'm following enough of it to be able to go into this final book and be like, sure, I know what's happening. It is 1,000 degrees. I absolutely have to close these doors and turn the AC on before I fucking melt. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't seen the other Read With Me's in this series, I would love it if you would check them out. Within a couple of days, you should see the final Read With Me for The Raven King, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!